Right friends, welcome back to Why and How. And look at the first issue. India has turned from a net importer of electricity to a net exporter for the first time. And please don't forget 2-3 important points. Several milestones are being reached, and there are successful experiments also during 2016-17. One of the successful experiments is Ujala, and 3 milestones were reached last year. One is 10 gigawatt of solar energy milestone we reached, but it is a long way to go. By 2022, our target is to reach 100 gigawatt of solar energy. If you look at wind power, we reached 30 gigawatt installation capacity. Our target by 2022 is 60 gigawatt. We are on way to reaching that. And third important milestone is renewable energy reached 50 gigawatt. So these are important milestones we reached last year. Look into the next one. The Supreme Court Constitution Bench will hear triple talaq cases on May 11. Now, All India Muslim Personal Law Board says that Supreme Court has no jurisdiction to strike down any provisions of the personal law. But Supreme Court says that it has to examine if these personal law practices are the fundamental traits of the minority religion or not. Right? Look into the next one. Regional connectivity scheme is going to be operated shortly. Government took that decision. Airlines were identified, airports were identified. I discussed in facts and figures. If you want more information, please go through this. And 2 points which I could not tell there. There's one airport, that means revival of airstrips or airports costs rupees 50 crore to 100 crore. And another important aspect is states must give support and reduce value added tax on aviation turbine fuel to 1% or less as per this regional connectivity scheme. And please don't forget the name of the scheme is UDAN. Look into the next one. Around 20 million people are facing famine in Africa and Yemen. Here I would like to tell you what is the difference between famine and starvation. When famine is declared in any country when all the 3 criteria are met. So, for declaring as famine, all the 3 criteria, look at the 3 criteria aspects. One is 1 in 5 households in a certain area when they face extreme food shortages. The second condition is more than 30% of the population are acutely malnourished. Third condition is at least 2 people for every 10,000 die each day. If these 3 conditions are satisfied, then it will be declared as famine. Please look into this. Yemen is into civil war, and 3 African countries. One is Somalia, then South Sudan, Nigeria, and these 4 countries are on the face, or you can say on the brink of a famine. And look into this. Famine is the characteristic of widespread deaths due to starvation, or you can say famine can be caused because of epidemics caused by forced use of contaminated water or decayed food, and loss of body resistance due to weakening from starvation. And what is meant by starvation? Starvation is basically state of having no food for a long period, often causing death. Right? So, this is all about famine, starvation, and some of the African countries along with Yemen, where civil war is going on, they are now on the brink of a famine as per the report. Look into the next one. SpaceX successfully launched its reused first stage of Falcon rocket. So, from examination perspective, please don't forget Falcon rocket. This belongs to SpaceX. and SpaceX is the organization based in USA, and it is behind, SpaceX is behind reused rocket launchers. And if the rocket launchers are reused, the cost of putting satellites into orbit will be reduced. And RLVTD experiment of ISRO is in this direction. And here in this particular case, the lower segment, or you can say the first stage of the Falcon rocket was reused. So, when people are talking about reusable rockets, as per the first mission of SpaceX, SpaceX for the first time launched a satellite into orbit by taking the first stage of the Falcon rocket, which was used once, right. So, the era of reusable rockets started, and in future they may be used commercially for more and more operations, and in fact the launch of satellites into orbit, the cost will be reduced. Then look into the next one. James Webb Space Telescope is getting ready, and please don't forget Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990, and James Webb Space Telescope. These are the initiatives of NASA in association with other agencies like European Space Agency. So, if someone talks about James Webb Space Telescope, it is the initiative of NASA in association with European Space Agency. And here Hubble completed 27 years of service, and James Webb Space Telescope is ready now, and it will replace Hubble by 2018. Two pertinent questions here. Why the telescopes are launched in the space at low Earth orbit? What is the need for the telescopes? And on the ground, please understand, on the ground most of the times telescopes are stationed at higher altitudes, or you can say mountainous regions, and this is something different. This is the space telescope in space in a low Earth orbit, and the fundamental point is why telescopes are required in the space, because of the reason to avoid atmospheric aberrations, because of density of various layers of Earth's atmosphere. What happens when something is viewed from the Earth? Then refraction occurs. Because of refraction, due to different densities of layers of Earth's atmosphere, you also see stars twinkling. Twinkling of stars is basically due to refraction of the atmosphere. So, to avoid the effect of refraction of the atmosphere, these telescopes are placed in space so that they can get the clear picture of distant objects, right. So, this is the reason behind space telescopes. And when the telescope is installed on the ground, most of the times they will try to install at higher altitudes, right friends. So, James Webb Telescope is going to replace Hubble Telescope, please don't forget. Central Board of Trustees of the Employees Provident Fund Organization recommended to the center to extend social security benefits to 61 lakh workers in the unorganized sector. And please don't forget Anganwadi centers. Anganwadi centers are established basically to take care of the pregnant and lactating mothers as well as 0 to 6 age group children and Anganwadi workers. There are 14 lakh Anganwadi workers, 12 lakh Anganwadi helpers. At the same time, midday meal workers, there are 26 lakh. At the same time, 10 lakh ASHA workers. Basically, they are stationed in the villages, or you can say they are community health workers. So, the center is looking at giving some social security to Anganwadi workers, midday meal workers, and at the same time ASHA workers, right. So, in this connection, Central Board of Trustees of the Employees Provident Fund recommended to the Centre to extend social security benefits to more than 61 lakh workers, basically Anganwadi workers, midday meal workers and ASHA workers. Right? Look into the next one. A giant algal bloom is spreading in the Gulf of Oman, threatening marine life, and it creates bioluminescence at night, and there are several reasons for algal bloom we discussed in the editorial discussion, and this is spreading from Gulf of Oman, from this place towards Arabian Sea. This is spreading, and harmful algal blooms, basically these are patches of algae infested water. These are patches of algae infested waters, and a group of predominantly aquatic photosynthetic organisms are known as algae. Algae is nothing but predominantly aquatic photosynthetic organisms, and in fact algae is not harmful in small concentrations. And why we call it as algal bloom? When we call it algal bloom, that means it has grown and spread to other locations in dangerous proportions, or you can say dangerous concentrations. You may have a doubt how to measure it. Here it is measured with the concentration of chlorophyll, or you can say this pigment which is essential for photosynthesis is measured. So, high chlorophyll values of 10 mg per cubic meter over most of the Sea of Oman was found. Right? You may have a doubt. What are the reasons for algal bloom? Reasons I have given here: human activities like aquaculture, discharge of water from sewage treatment plants, and release of excess nutrients into the sea. And there are several other reasons. One is upwelling. Upwelling means surface water will go away and the water underneath will come to the top, bringing excess nutrients onto the surface, which is known as upwelling. At the same time, changes in the rainfall patterns may be one reason. Higher levels of carbon dioxide and warming up of ocean temperatures. In ocean, warming up of water temperatures. Please don't forget, this warming up of water temperatures is the main reason for the destruction of barrier reef across the world. Most prominently, this Great Barrier Reef near Australia was destroyed because of rise in ocean temperatures. Dust storms are bringing nutrients in the form of phosphate and iron particles. Because of all these reasons, these algal blooms are occurring. You may have a doubt what are the problems. The problems are, it creates dead zones in water by affecting marine life, and it produces extremely dangerous toxins, and at the same time it raises treatment costs for drinking water and destruction of coral reefs. So these are the disadvantages. Basically, oceans become dead zones. That is the biggest disadvantage. Look into the next one. Hangul deer. This came to the spotlight as just 186 remain in Kashmir's Dachigam National Park. So, if someone is talking about Hangul deer, please don't forget Dachigam National Park. This is in Jammu and Kashmir, and at the same time, if someone is talking about this, IUCN is going to declare this red stag. This is also known as red stag, and please look into this news item. Sometime back, IUCN stated that it is going to declare critically endangered. Its habitat is in Jammu and Kashmir, as I have already told you. So, this Hangul or red stag or Kashmir stag, this is going to be declared as critically endangered. Please check whether IUCN already declared it or not, because I could not verify this. And Kashmir stag is a part of Asian clade of elk, or you can say it is a subspecies of red deer, and it is found in the dense riverine forest. At present, its habitat is Dachigam National Park. Please don't forget, and please look into the picture. and look into the conservation status given by IUCN. Please look into various categories: extinct, threatened, lower risk. Extinct, threatened, lower risk. So, these are various categories declared by IUCN. Then the Union Cabinet approved for ratification of 2 conventions of ILO concerning the child labour. Here I would like to tell you what are the conventions. Conventions are Minimum Age Convention and Worst Forms of Child Labour Convention. You may have a doubt why India ratified now only. Because of the reason India brought last year amendments to the Child Labour Act of 1986. India brought amendments to Child Labour Act of 1986. Last year this happened, and here one important aspect is it prohibits employment of children below the age of 14, but except family enterprises after school hours and holidays. This is not acceptable to many people. Family enterprises. India brought amendments which prohibits employment of children below the age of 14, but family enterprises, they can work after school hours and on holidays. And at the same time, second legislation which they have brought is adolescents. That means 14 to 18 years of people, they are prohibited to work in hazardous occupations. This is also welcome legislation, but here critics say that very few organizations are declared as hazardous. In hazardous occupations, 14 to 18 year people cannot work, but the biggest problem is very few organizations are declared as hazardous. So, as government brought these 2 amendments, now India is going to ratify Convention 138, Convention 182 of International Labour Organization. Here, as per this convention, compulsory schooling up to 15 years, but permits countries with inadequate education facilities to reduce it to 14. As India already amended the law, now India is ratifying this convention. The second convention says it prohibits employment of children in worst forms of labour. As India already passed the amendment pertaining to hazardous occupations, now India is ratifying this. So, now India is ratifying these 2 conventions. Before ratifying these 2 conventions, India brought this amendments to Child Labour Act of 1986 last year. Right, you got the point. Now, Gujarat becomes the first state in the country to make cow slaughter a punishable offence up to life term. For those guilty of cow slaughter, prison term between 10 years and a life term, and penalty amount ranging between 1 lakh to rupees 5 lakh. So, stringent penalties are given, and remaining things I have given here. Please go through them. The Supreme Court confirmed its verdict on making national and state highways liquor-free zones. Here I discussed several times, liquor-free zones along national highways, state highways will be up to 500 meters. When the population is up to 20,000, then up to 220 meters. And Sikkim and Meghalaya got a full exemption because of its hilly terrain. Lok Sabha passed Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill. Rajya Sabha had to pass it, and once it is passed by Parliament, we will discuss about this. But the pertinent point is, in 2015, almost 1.5 lakh people killed in road accidents. There were 5 lakh road accidents, and 1.5 lakh people lost their lives. And here several changes are proposed. Insurance claims in case of road accident must be cleared within 4 months, and road contractors may have to pay up to rupees 1 lakh per accidental death caused due to faulty road design and poor maintenance of roads. And still it is in Parliament, there may be some changes. So, I am not discussing much now. These proposals are as per the initial proposal while introducing the bill. Now, Lok Sabha passed the bill, Rajya Sabha will pass maybe in the next session. So, we will deliberate on it subsequently. So, these are important points. It creates a framework for taxi cab aggregators like Ola, Uber, and compensation to the families in case of hit and run cases, online issue of learner's license, and electronic service delivery with set deadlines. So, before going into the next issue, please don't forget this particular motor vehicles. This particular issue pertaining to motor vehicles comes in the concurrent list. Please don't forget, under 7th schedule, Article 246, there are 3 lists: union list, state list and concurrent list, and the issue pertaining to motor vehicles comes under the concurrent list. Look into the next one. India is among the 16 target countries featuring in the review of trade ties that the President Donald Trump ordered. What is this news item about? United States of America shortlisted 16 countries. With 16 countries, they are going to review the trade ties. You may have a doubt, why 16 countries are shortlisted? Most of the countries are the countries with whom America has got trade deficit. If you look at USA and China, USA has got trade deficit of $347 billion. $347 billion trade deficit, or you can say the trade is totally in favor of China, and with India also, USA has got trade deficit of $26 billion. Now, America First policy is going to be implemented by Trump, and because of that, he is going to review some of the trade ties with the countries. So, USA has got a trade deficit with several countries. Now, Donald Trump wants the review of the trade, right? Union Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana. This was launched in Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh, and you may have a doubt what is meant by Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana for the below poverty line families. Please understand, for the below poverty line families, for senior citizens, they must be senior citizens, below poverty line families, they will be provided with assisted living devices. In old age, people require some assisted devices. Some people may lose their listening ability, they may require hearing aids, and some people may require stick. Like that, in the old age, people require so many assisted living devices, and this program, Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana, is basically for the assisted living devices for the senior citizens below BPL, right? Or you can say for BPL families. Then here, free of cost physical devices to senior citizens, and eligible senior citizens above 80 years, devices will be given at home. Government has lowered the interest rates on small savings schemes by 0.1%. As on date, Sukanya Samruddhi Senior Citizens Savings Scheme, they fetch 8.4% interest, and this is the highest. So, please look into this slide. At present, it is 8.4%, previously 8.5, now it is reduced to 8.4 from April 1. So, interest rates for small savings schemes are revised once in 3 months, so please don't forget, and this is monitored by the Ministry of Finance. Look into the next one. Atria Convergence Technologies or ACT FiberNet has launched 1 gigabit per second wired broadband internet service in Hyderabad. Now, Hyderabad became the first giga-enabled city in India, as per the news reports. Look into the next one. Union Cabinet approves setting up of independent rail regulator, Rail Development Authority. Initially, it will be established through an executive order. It will be based in Delhi, and subsequently legislative framework will be brought, and it will work within the parameters of the Railway Act, and it will be recommendatory body. It will give recommendations to the Railway Ministry, and Railway Ministry will be the final authority for taking decisions. And the basic problem in Indian Railways is cross subsidy. The basic problem is cross subsidy. You may have a doubt what is meant by cross subsidy. Passenger services are subsidized too much, and at the same time freight services are becoming costly. The subsidy whichever is being given for passenger services, to compensate that, freight services are increased unnecessarily. That is cross subsidy. And now once this Rail Development Authority is formed, it will give recommendations with regard to tariff. Second one is ensuring fair play for promoting private investments in railway, for promoting private investments. Then third point is it will set the standards. So three important points of Rail Development Authority. Tariff will be determined. Second one is fair play for promoting private investments. Third one is setting standards, and it will have a chairman along with 3 members with a fixed term of 5 years, and the chairman as well as members will be appointed by the search committee headed by the cabinet secretary. Please understand, right? So it will become another regulator just like these regulators, but please don't forget these 4 regulators are called financial sector regulators. These 4 regulators are called financial sector regulators. And one more important aspect is to ensure coordination among these regulators. To ensure coordination among these 4 regulators, FSDC is there, which is headed by the finance minister, right? So these aspects please don't forget. Union government approved the appointment of Girish Shankar as the chairman of newly constituted National Board of Electric Mobility. National Board of Electric Mobility. For this, chairman was appointed, and let us look something about electric vehicles. And before going ahead, what is the role of this NBEM? NBEM role is basically to promote electric mobility and manufacturing of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. Manufacturing of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. So this is the main goal of National Board of Electric Mobility. And as a matter of fact, electric vehicles are not taking roots in our country. As per the news report, China's annual consumption runs into around 42 million electric vehicles. Please check this figure. This is as per one news report. China's annual consumption is around 42 million electric vehicles, and whereas India's just 25,000. And several electric vehicle manufacturers have closed their manufacturing facilities. And what are the advantages of electric vehicles? Eco-friendliness, ease of operations, and if electric vehicles are proliferated, then basically it will benefit the seasonal production of solar energy and wind energy. Basically, intermittent nature of production is there for wind power and solar power. In fact, electric vehicles can be charged with wind and solar power as and when it is available. Then, what are the present problems? Electric vehicles are not taking off. Misconception about electric vehicles, fear about after sales service, anxiety about battery life, and fear of getting struck up in between due to the battery failure. So these are the problems. That's why it is not going ahead. You may have a doubt, what are the government's plans? Government's plans are government targeted aggressively with the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan, and it targeted to push 6 to 7 million electric vehicles by 2020, but things are not moving in the right direction. In fact, this National Electric Mobility Mission Plan is not successful in spite of giving subsidy for each vehicle. Look into the next one. India became the associate member of International Energy Association. Why this was formed? International Energy Association, headquartered in Paris. It is intergovernmental organization established in 1974 as per OECD framework. Because of the reason, in the year 1973, OPEC countries, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, formed a cartel. Cartel means they came together and artificially they jacked up the prices. They jacked up the oil prices, and because of that, that means to look into alternate mechanism and to look at the issue in a rational way, this International Energy Association was formed, right? So India is now became associate member of International Energy Association, which is headquartered in Paris. Main purpose is energy security, economic development and environmental protection. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved the extension of the implementation phase of Crime and Criminals Tracking Network and Systems project. So, what is the purpose of this project? The project is CCTNS. What is the purpose of CCTNS project? The purpose is basically to interconnect all the police stations. So, it is a mission mode project under the National E-Governance Plan, and it creates a comprehensive and integrated system for enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of policing through adopting the principles of governance. Or you can say the core objective of CCTNS is to interconnect all the police stations. Then Union Cabinet has given its approval for signing of the collaborative agreement with French National Research Agency, France. So basically this agreement is to support Belmont Forum Secretariat. You may have a doubt, where is it situated? Belmont Forum Secretariat is situated in France. And the second important point is, you may have a doubt, why this Belmont Forum is existing. The main purpose is, it is a group of the world's major and emerging funders of global environmental change research. Basically, it accelerates the delivery of environmental research needed to remove critical barriers to sustainability by aligning and mobilizing international resources. So, international resources are to be mobilized to accelerate the delivery of environmental research, right? So, for that purpose, France based secretariat is there. The organization is Belmont Forum, right? So, the last one is, scientists from the Chinese Academy of Sciences have identified a soil fungus. This uses enzymes to rapidly break down plastic materials. So, the fungus ordinarily lives in the soil, can also grow on the surface of plastics. So, in order to grow on plastics, it secretes enzymes on the surface of the plastic which break the chemical bonds between the polymers. So, the chemical bonds will be broken, because of which the plastic materials will be broken down. So, this was identified by Chinese Academy of Sciences scientists. Right friends, we will conclude here today's why and how, and we will upload 3 capsules pertaining to 14th week on Tuesday. Have a nice day. Thank you.